Welcome to Top 5, the channel where truth is not polished, it is revealed, where numbers speak louder than slogans, and where we explore the realities that shape nations and futures. So subscribe now and step into a world that most headlines never dare to explain. Australia today stands at a turning point that feels less like politics and more like a chapter from a global economic documentary, because the country's survival is tied to immigration in ways deeper and more measurable than most people realize, and the top 5 reasons expose a truth backed by data, not opinion. First, Australia is facing a historic workforce crisis, with the National Skills Commission reporting that over 31% of all occupations are in shortage, including nurses, teachers, engineers, aged care workers, builders, and farm laborers. Hospitals rely on migrant nurses to keep emergency rooms open. Construction relies on overseas trades to build homes. And agriculture depends on seasonal migrant labor to prevent billions in crop losses. Without migrants, these sectors would collapse within months. Second, the tax base that funds Medicare, pensions, schools, and infrastructure depends heavily on skilled migrants, who, according to the Productivity Commission, contribute far more in taxes than they receive in government services, because they are younger, healthier, and more likely to work full-time. Without this inflow, Australia's aging population would force taxes even higher on ordinary citizens just to keep the system running. Third, the demographic time bomb is real and ticking. Australia's fertility rate has fallen to 1.58, one of the lowest in its history, far below the replacement level of 2.1, meaning the population would shrink and age rapidly without migration. A path already seen in Japan, where a shrinking workforce has caused decades of economic stagnation, and in Italy, where entire towns are emptying out because young people are too few to replace retirees. Fourth, innovation, research, and global competitiveness rely on migrant talent. Over 40% of Australia's doctors, 30% of engineers, and a significant share of university researchers were born overseas, and OECD studies show that countries with strong migration streams innovate faster, patent more, and grow more resiliently, meaning migrants don't just fill jobs, they expand the nation's capability. Fifth, and perhaps the most revealing truth, is the political illusion. Governments publicly promise to cut migration to win votes from frustrated Australians facing high rent, expensive housing, and rising living costs, yet privately rely on high migration to keep GDP rising, fill labor shortages, and increase tax revenue. This creates a cycle where ordinary Australians carry the burden of poor planning, weak housing policy, and decades of political short-termism, while leaders benefit from a system they publicly criticize but quietly depend on, a system where migration is blamed for problems actually caused by policy failures, not by the people arriving to build a better life. In reality, migrants are not the cause of Australia's challenges. They are the reason the country still functions, the reason hospitals stay open, the reason the economy grows, and the reason the future has a chance. Thank you for watching Top 5, the channel where truth has no filter. Subscribe, stay with us, and together we will continue uncovering the realities that shape our world.